Why is everybody so quiet?
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome all of you here to the St. Regis Hotel in New York City for the Baseball Hall of Fame and Baseball Writers Association of America press conference to introduce the BBWAA class of 2020. I'd also like to welcome all those watching live on the MLB Network and online. From your right to left on the dais, it is my pleasure to introduce Jack O'Connell, Secretary-Treasurer of the Baseball Writers Association of America, Jane Forbes Clark, Chairman of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, 2020 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Derek Jeter, 2020 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Larry Walker, and the President of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, Tim Mead. Also here as part of our electee families today, we're very happy to have with us Derek's wife, Hannah. And additionally, we welcome Derek's agent, Casey Close, and from the New York Yankees, Brian Cashman. Thank you all for joining us. I'd now like to invite Jack O'Connell of the Baseball Writers Association of America to say a few words.
Thank you, Chester. There have been some rough days for baseball lately, but this day annually centers on one of the most positive aspects of the game. The celebration of players' careers that warrant the sport's highest individual honor. When baseball becomes wounded, it always looks to Cooperstown, the next stop for these two men. We have a case of the first and the last this year. Derek Jeter, who I covered for the entirety of his career, was elected in his first year on the ballot, and another 5-tool player, Larry Walker, made the grade in his last year on the ballot. Now they will be linked forever as teammates on the ultimate club. We had another strong ballot return this year, 97%. That is due in large part to the diligence of the Hall's Craig Muter and Jackie Brown. The baseball writers thank the Elias Bureau for its assistance on the ballot bios, and especially my counting partner from Ernst & Young, Michael DeLisi, and his assistant, Victoria Bautista. They are all very much a Hall of Fame team. The writers also enjoy a renewed relationship with Tim Mead. He may be a new president, but he's an old friend of the BBWAA and is off to a great start in Cooperstown, the home of baseball's universe. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. And now I would like to invite Tim Mead to give a few words.
Thank you, John. On behalf of Jane, the board of directors, and the entire staff of the Baseball Hall of Fame, we're glad you could join us here this afternoon. Jane and I would like to pass along special thanks to Jack for his continued efforts and the voting members of the BBWAA for their time and effort in this most important process. The privilege to participate in the selection of a Hall of Famer is one of great responsibility, and I know the Baseball Writers Association of America shares a similar perspective. We would also like to thank Mike DeLisi and the folks at Ernst & Young who worked to verify the vote and the voting process. It is a partnership that's been in place for 25 years. Our great game is covered and discussed through an ever-evolving spectrum of statistics. The resumes of Derek and Larry certainly reflect that reality. But along with the player's record, playing ability, and contributions to the team, the other factors of Hall of Fame eligibility, integrity, sportsmanship, and character, are well represented with these two gentlemen. The journey to play in one major league game is filled with challenging odds and obstacles. To sustain a lengthy career requires a physical and mental commitment few can fully appreciate. As the 2020 season approaches, it bears repeating that 19,960 individuals have worn a major league uniform. Of those, 233 are presently enshrined in Cooperstown. Only 1% of these individuals attain the title of Hall of Famer, an entrance into one of the most cherished fraternities on the globe. In July, we will honor the class of 2020, a group featuring 4 unique individuals, each accomplished gentlemen within their own right. It will include Derek, whose consistent performance and leadership earned him the respect of teammates within the clubhouse, the admiration of an organization, a city, and fans across the country, as well as the appreciation from an industry for his daily professionalism on and off the field. Larry, who in 1984 signed an amateur free agent contract for $1,500 and eventually utilized his five-tool abilities to become one of the most feared offensive and defensive right fielders in baseball. We will also celebrate the careers of two men selected through the Veterans Committee process last December. Ted Simmons, who made his Major League debut at the age of 18 and became one of the game's great plate disciplinarians during the course of his career. 7 times he garnered Most Valuable Player votes. And the late Marvin Miller, whose efforts leading the Players Association resulted in groundbreaking changes within the game in the areas of free agency and arbitration, to name a few. Gentlemen, congratulations on reaching the pinnacle of success within our great sport. Respect is not given, it is indeed earned. Your career performance, contribution, and respect for the game are now recognized at the highest level. We're looking forward to your arrival in Cooperstown in July. Now it's time to welcome you to your new team, a reflection of accomplishment and greatness. So if you wouldn't mind standing, taking off your jackets, it's time to don the new jersey of your new team. First time as a Hall of Famer.
How's it look?
Pinch me.
And now that they're dressed appropriately, I'd like to ask the new members of the Hall of Fame to share some opening remarks, starting with you, Larry.
Oh, great. This is way better than that SpongeBob shirt I wore yesterday, I think.
No, it's really not.
You offered me $50 for it. So. I'd really like to thank all of you for being here. Special thanks to the baseball writers for this incredible honor to be going in with obviously Derek and Ted and Marvin's legacy and everything that went with that. It's a very nervous time for me. It's a call I wasn't expecting, and maybe the greatest call I've ever got. So it was an incredible whirlwind between yesterday and today. So I'm very honored to be part of this and look forward to the things that are going to be happening here. I know I've also talked about, Derek doesn't have this issue, but there's a certain cap that I got to put on when I go in to the Hall, and ultimately it is the Hall's choice on that. We talked a lot about it today, so I thought I'd clear that up. And it comes down to two, obviously, with Montreal and Colorado. So being a Canadian, Montreal, spent a few years there and had a great time, spent 10 years in Colorado, where the majority of my damage was done. And I think with that, the years that I spent there, that it will be a Colorado Rockies hat that I'll be wearing to the Hall of Fame. It's a hard decision, being a Canadian, but I feel with all the at-bats, games played, everything that happened in Colorado, the years spent there, this really seems like the right decision, and we all agreed on that. So, but all three teams will be on that plaque represented, and I'm honored that I got to put all three of those uniforms on. So thank you all so much.
Thank you, Larry. And Derek?
Yeah, first of all, thank you, John, Tim, Jane, my good friend Jack, all these years, all the baseball writers. for voting for me. You know, this is an absolute honor. It's an honor for me to go in the Hall of Fame alongside Larry, alongside Ted Simmons, and congratulations to the late Marvin Miller and his family. You know, this is something that, you know, is not a part of the dream when you're playing. I mean, you're playing and you're just trying to keep your job. That's first and foremost. And you're trying to compete year in and year out. You're trying to win. And when your career is over and done with, then it's up to the writers. So I just want to once again thank the baseball writers. I want to thank my family, you know, my parents. My sister is not here. My wife is here today. My 2 young daughters who are too young to make it, but one day I'll be able to show them some highlights. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Derek. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to begin the Q&A. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and Anthony or Dominic will bring by a microphone. Please state your name and affiliation and indicate who you're asking your question. We can start down here on the left.
Derek, congratulations. Bruce Beck from WNBC TV.
Thank you, Bruce.
Derek, you never wanted to talk about the Hall of Fame all those years. Well, now I think you can. When you put it in perspective now, what does it mean to you?
You know, it's hard to put into words. You know, I've told everyone throughout the course of not only my career, but in the last 5 years, up until yesterday, I just didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to jinx any opportunities that I may have. I never took this for granted. I understand that these are the best players to ever play in the game, to ever play the game. And when you're in it, I just never necessarily sat down and viewed myself that way. It was always what's next, and how can we win? And then how can we win some more? So to have the opportunity now to be inducted into the Hall of Fame is, I guess the best way to answer it is I just don't know what to say. I'm looking forward to this summer. You know, it's an emotional time. It's a time of reflection, and it's a lot of hard work and a lot of years have gone into this. And you know, this is the highest honor.
On the way on the back right here.
Derek, Dave Waldstein, New York Times. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
You said you played to keep the job, but also you play to win championships. I'd like to know, how did this compare with winning the championship?
Look, you know, when you win a championship, obviously you're celebrating with 25 guys, more than 25 guys. You're celebrating with an entire organization. This is an individual honor, but I'm sharing it with all the people that have helped me along the way. So there's some similarities, but then yet there's some differences. And both of them are very hard. I don't know if I could say getting to the Hall of Fame is harder than winning a championship. They're both very difficult, but I don't know, man. It's a good question, but I don't try to compare them because this is special all on its own. I mean, like I said, it doesn't get any better than this. I mean, there's no more awards. There's no other place you can go. I mean, this is it. So this is as good as it gets. I don't even know if that answered your question.
On the left towards the center.
So for both of you guys, congratulations. Mark Feinsand with MLB.com. What have the last 24 hours been like for you? And is there anything last night, anybody you heard from that stands out?
Well, for me, it wasn't quite as obvious that I was going to have Jack calling me. So once that phone call happened, like you say, the tears that come out of joy. When I went to bed last night, I never realized how mentally tired I was, but couldn't sleep because everything was still spinning around and just the happiness involved. But it's great. I apologize to everybody that's been messaging me. There's over 300 messages on my phone and my voicemail's full, and I want to get back to every one of you. But it's been great to hear from everybody and all the appreciation and thanks from family and friends. It's been overwhelming.
Yeah, it's been a whirlwind. You know, like I said, I never just sat down and just assumed that this was going to happen. This is not an assumption that you make. I've spending time with family and friends, and I wanted them to be around if potentially this were to happen. I wanted my 2 daughters to be around because obviously they never saw me play. They don't know much about my career. They don't know that side of me. And it was a special moment because, my family and my friends are extremely important to me. They're the reason why I'm here today, and I just wanted to share that moment with them.
And back to the back right.
Raúl, Raúl Ramos from Con las Bases Llenas. While you
¿Cómo
guys were
está,
pla-
amigo?
while you guys were playing,
You need to catch the Spanish, man.
I thought it was French.
I can say it to you in Spanish, but for your benefit. I don't see Jorge around to translate to you, so. While you guys were playing, at some point in your career, did you ever thought that you had a chance to be in the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think like Derek just said, you don't play your career to think that this is going to happen. You go out there and you bust your butt and you battle with your teammates to take on that other team in the other dugout. And the winning is the most important thing that you strive through for your whole career. And then when it's over, then I think you reflect on it and you hope, you hope that something like this could happen. But it's such a small, minimal number of people that get to have this honor. So maybe once I said and done, then the numbers started coming out. It started making a little sense to me, but it still doesn't make sense that there's Hall of Fame everywhere on me right now, and it hasn't sunk in, honestly. So.
Back to the center with Sweeney.
Sweeney Murdy from WFAN Radio. Larry, congratulations to you. Derek, my question is for you. You've mentioned 2 times now that your daughters never saw you play and that you want to show them highlights. Other than winning championships, what highlights would you like them to see of your career?
That's it. All the good stuff. Nothing bad. I mean, just strictly all highlights. That's it. I don't know if there's anything in particular I would show them. I think it's more explaining to them what my experience has been like, what my career has been like. I played in 20 years in the Yankee organization. In my mind, the greatest organization in all the sports. A little biased, but it's the only place I ever wanted to play. And just sharing with them the opportunity I had, the dream that I had when I was just a little bit older than they are, and the opportunity I got through the Steinbrenner family for me to play my entire career with the only organization I wanted to play with. I've had a lot of success, had a lot of good teammates, played on a lot of great teams, and I'll just share all those stories with them.
Here in the third row.
Gentlemen, congratulations to both of you. Andrew Rosario, New York Beacon, and WLNG Radio. Derek, you had a very special relationship with the owner, George Steinbrenner, as well as your manager, Joe Torre. What do you remember of their advice that they've given to you that you remember till today?
The boss was simple. A win. That was it. He was an old football coach, and I've joked about this before, but he had a real tough time. I say this in the most respectful way. He had a real tough time comprehending that over a course of 162 games season, you may lose a game. You laugh, but that's how he thought. And I can say I had the same mindset when we took the field, is that there's no reason why you can't win on that particular day. So he was a big preacher of accountability, responsibility, work ethic. And Mr. T, he's probably the best communicator I've ever been around. He preached that you treat everyone fairly. You don't always treat everyone the same, but you treat everyone fairly. And you have to take the time to get to know people. And, that's a lesson I learned from him early on in my career.
Back on the left.
Kelsey Hennigan, MLB.com. You guys had different starts, with Jeter being a first rounder and Walker being an international signee. But following those starts, how did your time in the minors help shape your careers?
For me, it made my career. I didn't play high school baseball growing up. You know, you're born in Canada. You come into the world with a hockey stick and skates on, and that's what you do. So baseball was something I never really did. I played more softball than I did baseball growing up. So until I was 16, and got an opportunity with Team Canada, and then got scouted by Jim Fanning and Bob Rogers, and the minor leagues is what I used to figure out how to do the game and how to play it. I mean, I think you heard my thing yesterday about cutting across the infield because I didn't know you had to touch second base and, you know, things like that. I didn't know the rules. I'd never seen sliders, forkballs. So the minor leagues is where it all happened. You know, all the coaching and watching other players from their successes and failures and learning from them. It was the road that paved the way for me.
See, as a true Hall of Famer, so you didn't even have to play the game to make it to the Hall of Fame. You don't even play baseball growing up. The minor leagues, for me, I was completely overmatched, and I did it my whole life. But it was a learning experience. You go through some growing pains, and you have to overcome it. I mean, grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and you know, I signed day after my 18th birthday, and now all of a sudden you're playing against the greatest players in the world, and I was completely overmatched. So I had to learn how to deal with failure, because you know, growing up when you're younger, a lot of times you don't have to deal with that, and it helped me. It helped prepare me for what was to come in New York.
The back on the right.
Ed Randall, WFAN and Sirius XM Radio. Larry, Derek, congratulations for Derek. Could you please talk about May 29th, 1995, your first game in Seattle, and also how you were notified in AAA that you were coming up, and then that night with Mariano in the restaurant in New Jersey and the disappointment of being sent down?
Okay, that was in 3 parts. Let me see. Okay.
You got sent down?
Yeah. I'll tell you that in a second. It wasn't my fault.
Wow.
It really wasn't my fault. It was.
Somebody got fired.
So May 29th, 1995, my first game in Seattle, I was 0 for 5. I remember that, and after the game, walking with my dad, we went to McDonald's because there were no restaurants open, and it's the first time I was playing in a dome. Other than the statistics of that day, I can't tell you anything else because I don't remember. It was all a blur. Which, you know, someone was asking me about the first game I played in Yankee Stadium. I can't tell you who we played. I can't even tell you what we did or what I did because it was all a blur. Getting sent down was all Mariano's fault. Yeah. It's true. Yeah, Mariano was a starter at the time, and you know, he wasn't a very good starter, and he had a bad game, and they sent us both down on the same day. So I thank Mariano for the only time getting demoted in my professional baseball career. You guys laugh now, but we were crying.
All the way on the left.
This is Bill Latson, MLB.com. This is for Larry Walker. Congratulations to both. What does Felipe Alou mean to your career, and what's the biggest thing you learned from him?
Well, Felipe, like I said, the whole Alou family, especially with Felipe and having Moises as a teammate, was a great experience. Felipe came in, and obviously with that 94 team, that we were pretty good until the strike hit, and it was fun to watch him just come to the field every day, knowing that he had a ball club that was doing something pretty darn special, and to watch him just communicate with the guys was. You know, there's a lot of managers don't have that communication skill. Felipe was hands-on, could take you aside and talk to the whole team. It's just a manager you feel comfortable being around with and you can say anything to. And I think that was one thing I definitely remember, just how approachable he was.
Willie in the back.
Derek, it's Willie Weinbaum from ESPN. Question for you. What would you most like to ask or say to the one writer who didn't vote for you?
Well, see, that's where our minds are a little bit different. I focus on the ones that did. I mean, it takes a lot of people to all agree to get you to this point. So I am not thinking about that. I'm happy that I'm sitting up here on this stage right now, and you know, that's something that just doesn't cross my mind.
Barry on the left.
Congratulations, guys. Barry Bloom from Forbes. Derek, reminisce about the last week of the season because, you know, you went out in a way that was uncommon for many great athletes.
Yeah, you know, the last game I played, people have asked me what game stands out the most. It's a little unfair because it's freshest in my mind. But the last game I played in New York was the only game I ever played in New York where we were eliminated, and which shouldn't mean anything, right? But you know, the relationship that I had with the fan base, it was a playoff-like atmosphere, and you know, I've said it time and time again how much respect and gratitude I have for the fan base in New York, but the way they treated me, that not only just the final game, but my entire career, it was great to have one last magical moment, I guess, is the best way to put it, at Yankee Stadium.
In the center aisle on the left.
Danny Torres, Latino Sports. This question is for Larry. Larry, you mentioned about that voicemail box full. You mentioned about 300 messages. Was there a message from Fergie Jenkins, who you obviously will join as a fellow Canadian? Did you hear from Fergie, or did you hear from any other Hall of Famers?
I have heard from a few Hall of Famers, and that was one of the things I was asked today, who reached out, and some guys that I didn't even, you know, they got a hold of my number and got some great messages from them. And yes, I did hear from Fergie, giving me a congratulations and welcoming me into the Hall of Fame. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool to just go through the messages, and some numbers I didn't have, or names in my phone, and the number would pop up, and I'd push on that number, and it's like, oh, okay. Alan Trammell, you gotta be kidding me. Okay, that's cool. So it was neat, and a few other ones too. It was fun.
And the back center.
Thanks, John. Lloyd Carroll from the Queens Chronicle. Larry, you didn't have the luxury of playing in a big market like Derek did. I was curious, over the course of these 10 years of being on the ballot, there's a party that said, well, maybe it's Coors Field, maybe it's guys played in Montreal, maybe I didn't get to play in a big market. Did those thoughts go through your mind in terms of this whole ballot process over the course of time?
Yeah, it had to go through my mind because it was always talked about, and I always hear about it. So it's part of the deal. You know, I played where I played. Montreal was a great time up there. We had opportunities to win. The same thing happened in Colorado. We did win the first wild card team in '95. So we lost to the world champions that year in the Braves, and then going to St. Louis, which, you know, like I say, putting that uniform on is quite an experience. It's a very you know, famous, I guess, franchise. But I don't know. They're low market, but you know, like I say, it was in the major leagues, and I'm not going to ever shy away from where I played. I played in a hitter's paradise in Colorado, but it was a Major League Baseball team. Not a lot of kids get to live that dream out, and I got to for 17 years, so I'm good with it.
Back to the left.
Mr. Vazio, Fox 5 New York. Congratulations, Larry and Derek, to the both of you. Derek, you've mentioned your family a couple times. What were the conversations and emotions like with your parents when this became official? And now that your career is complete, what has their impact been on your career?
They were very proud, to say the least. My dad mentioned to me that he's responsible for all the talent that I've ever had. He also mentioned that he was a much better shortstop than I was, but that they used wooden bats that broke and they had to put nails in them. So but no, both of my parents, I think, you know, they've been supportive throughout my entire life, not just my professional baseball career. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for them. And, you know, moving forward, they're still obviously very supportive. They're babysitting our kids right now, which made it possible for me to come up here and spend some time with you. But I could go on and on about the support that I've gotten from my entire family. And my wife, who's here today, obviously she wasn't around for a lot of my career, but the support that she's shown the last couple of years and the last 5 years, wouldn't be here without her as well.
Then all the way on the left.
Okay. Congratulations to both of you. Derek, you just checked in on this, on the one no vote, and you made your feelings clear. I think you all know has become a big subplot in the last couple of days. Even O.J. Simpson checked in on it and had your back, Derek. And I'm just wondering for Jane or Tim, if you could just discuss the philosophy in not compelling or not forcing all voters to make their votes public.
Well, I think there's ultimately the rules and regulations controlled by the BBWAA in the voting process. And in that ballot, the voter has a choice of making that vote public or not. And that's kind of the agreed upon guidelines established by the membership. And I know Jack will be checking in as well, but that's kind of the way that that process has been run and continues to be run.
I need to clarify this position because it preceded Tim's term. The BBWAA made a proposal to the hall, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or so, to be completely transparent as we are with our awards and to make all the ballots public. But the hall's board turned that down, and they said they preferred that the individual decide whether he or she wishes to make the ballot public. And that's the option this voter has.
You haven't reflected further on that, just in light. Very comfortable with that?
Yes,
policy.
we are.
Oh.
Thank you.
Go to Ron here.
That there. For all the success you had in 2 decades as a player and as a teammate, has it made it all the more frustrating what you're going through in Miami with the losing and the empty ballpark? And where would a title as CEO with the Marlins fit in alongside for you the accomplishments with the Yankees and reaching the Hall?
No, it's been a lot of fun down there losing and not having anyone come. I mean, look, the bottom line is the bottom line is when you're competing to win. We've taken on quite a challenge down there in Miami, but we look at it as being a huge opportunity. We believe in the fan base in Miami. We believe in the organization that we're building. We understand it's going to take some time. I've said it before. I preach patience, even though I have none. But it also takes a little time for the fan base to develop that trust for us. I can't go down there and tell everyone to trust me. They don't know me, right? Takes a little time for that. And one thing I said is I'm not going to make any promises I can't keep. And every promise that we've made, we've kept so far. And look, I want to win as much as anyone. I didn't get into this to lose. I could have stayed home and retired. Just ask my wife. She'd probably be a little bit happier if I was at home every day and retired. But I got into this because I always wanted to give back to the game at the highest level. And I wanted to build something that we could be proud of and everyone in Miami can be proud of.
Where would a title of CEO rank?
It's hypothetical. Let me get there first. I got to get there first.
Back on the left.
Congratulations, Larry, Derek, Joe Masseri, Pix 11 News here. I want to ask both of you guys. Derek, you joked yesterday about your possibilities to get the opportunity. So over the course of your career, when you guys look back, was there a moment that you thought, okay, this could go either way? Maybe you would have been with the Yankees, or maybe strike it 94 with Montreal for you, Larry?
Tough to understand you there with all that cutting in and out, but I think you asked maybe a turning point in my career where things maybe switched, and I guess the turning point for me was, I believe, August 16th in 1989 when I got a call to say you're coming up to the big leagues. So I mean that's the ultimate turning point where you're going from just living on meal money and riding buses everywhere to playing in parks where they got backgrounds that you can see the ball and lights that actually light up the field, and everything just becomes easier. So, that was probably just getting that opportunity to put on a major league uniform was my turning point.
And in the second row here.
Robert Grayson, Sports Profiles. For Larry, I had a question. I just can't fathom what it must have been like for you to learn the game, getting into it without really knowing that much about the game. And Derek, I'd like to ask you, you've talked about your struggles when you first got started. When you started winning with the Yankees, did you ever think back on those days and say, I made it? I mean, did you ever take a moment and just reflect on how hard it was to get to that point?
Who's first?
I forgot what he asked him.
I was asking you, I can't imagine what it would be like to learn.
Oh, yeah. I guess as all my friends seem to tell me, they get upset because I'm athletic. I have athletic ability, and I tend to pick up sports maybe a little quicker. So baseball was a lot of work, a lot of practice, but I was a great learner, listener, and just took everything anybody ever told me. And like I said earlier, a lot of my success was from watching other players. I would love watching other players and see what they were doing, and if they did it and was successful with it, something I could try and maybe add my own twist to it. And I also, the bad things they did, I didn't want to repeat them or see them from myself, so I had to learn from them. But like I say, I took up 10-pin bowling after I retired, and I threw a perfect game 2 years later. So, I love the challenge of trying to learn something new. So baseball was new for me.
And I forgot my part.
When you were successful as a Yankee, if you reflected back on the tough days that you had until you got there.
One more time? If I reflected, well, I guess, the best way to put it is I always had a tough time appreciating the journey along the way. My parents used to always tell me, look, you have to sit back and enjoy the moment. I was just never able to do it. I don't know if that's a character flaw or if it's part of the reason why I'm here. It was always just what's next. If we won, I forgot about it and prepared to try to win the next season. If we lost, I forgot about it and tried to prepare for the next season. And never really got a chance to sit back and reflect. And even when my career was over, I really haven't had an opportunity to sit back. I think maybe that starts now.
And on the left here.
Bradford William Davis, New York Daily News. This is for Derek. First, congratulations. When you debuted in the leagues, in the big leagues in like '95, about 16% of Major League Baseball players identified as African American, a number that had held steady since the '70s. But regrettably, by your final year, the number dipped to about 6%. As someone long thought of as an ambassador to the game, for the game rather, now an owner and a Hall of Famer, how do you feel about the decline of black participation in the game, and what do you think should be done to involve more black folks in the game?
Yeah, I think it's sad. I think start off with that. I think part of it, is a generational thing. I think, the younger generation, and let me finish before anyone judges me. I think they're into instant gratification. If you see a player playing college basketball, the next year they're in the NBA. See a player playing college football, the next year they're in the NFL. You see someone playing college baseball, they disappear for 3 years, even if they're the best, or 2-3 years before you see them in Major League Baseball. So I think kids nowadays, they want to go towards not the easier route, but the fastest route. And, that's unfortunate. But I think one thing that Major League Baseball has done is they're doing a better job with getting more inner city kids to play the sport. But we need to do a much better job at that. And, I don't think there's an easy answer for it. If there was an easy answer for it, we figured it out a long time ago. But it's something that's top of mind, and we must do a better job. We have to get more kids playing baseball.
And on the inside here, just one row ahead, all the way on the inside.
Verónica Contreras from Telemundo. Congratulations. Felicidades, Derek.
Gracias.
De nada. Have you talked to Mariano? What did Mariano tell you? And now that you're a Hall of Famer like Mariano, and how special is it for you to go be elected on the first year like he did?
You know what? I have not spoken to Mariano since yesterday. You know, Mo disappears a little bit. I was talking with Jason Zillow earlier on. So if I'm going down on this, you're coming with me, Jason. But you know, Mo's, you can reach out to Mo. He won't answer his phone for a couple months, and then he'll resurface. So, you know, I haven't spoken to Mo. I've seen the kind words that he said. I was happy that I've had the opportunity to be at his induction ceremony last year. It was a special moment. I think everyone knows that the special bond that a group of players had in New York, and I'm looking forward to touching base with them here soon.
We have time for just a couple more. Back to the left.
Hey, Brian.
Well, first of all, that's news to me. Is that accurate? Where the plaques go? And
Yes.
okay. Make sure everyone's on the same page here on that one. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, me and Mo, I've known Mariano since I've been 18 years old. We've been through quite a bit together, and you know, he's someone that you know, he was. What could you say? I mean, he's arguably the greatest relief pitcher in the game. I mean, there's always up for debate, right? But you know, he's a guy that we wouldn't have had all these championships if it wasn't for him, you know, because he was basically automatic. So it's an honor for me to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care where they put me. They can put me in the restroom if they want to. But to be next to Mo is quite a thrill.
And your nephew?
Oh, he's doing good. Yes, he's getting older now. He's what, 8 now? Is he? I'm forget. Yeah, he's 8 years old, and you know, he's playing all the sports and enjoying himself. He's a little torn now. He roots for both teams, which is a good thing. We play in different leagues, so yeah, he's doing great. Thanks.
We'll have one final question all the way in the back on the left. Just one moment for the microphone.
Yeah.
Hi, Derek. Peter Haskell with CBS Radio. When you look back on your career, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud that I was a Yankee. It's the only thing I ever wanted to do since as long as I could remember was play shortstop for the New York Yankees, and I had an opportunity to do that. I had an opportunity to do it for a long time, and when it's all said and done, that's what I'm most proud of.
Well, thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you in Cooperstown for the weekend of July 24th to 27th, Induction Weekend 2020. Now, as we close out the event, we're going to have our dais guests stand up for a few more photos. Hey, Milo? Milo, are you good? Do we need to move anything out of the way? Okay.